What's going on, guys? I'm back. I was originally gonna do a vlog with this video, but because of the coronavirus, all my plans for this week kind of got shut down. There were a couple things I wanted to cover in this vlog. So originally we were supposed to go to a dodgeball tournament with the swim team, and then also we were supposed to go to a bowling event for this organization called Bowl for Kids' Sake. So I'll talk about them for a little bit, you know, to kind of make up for the lack of vlog that I've got for you guys this week. Firstly, like I said before, there was a dodgeball tournament run by the Student Athlete Mental Health Initiative. And it was basically just a big tournament. It was $5 per person, and you can just go out dressed in costumes and have a good time playing dodgeball. It's like a little, you know, bracket and everything. Basically, what SAMI stands for is, you know, to raise awareness about mental health in athletes, student athletes in particular, and just kind of, you know, end the stigma around things such as you have to be tough to be an athlete, like mentally tough. It's okay to not be okay, you know, just all of that good stuff. One of my favorite quotes from them on their website, which I'll put in the description below, is some say grow up, we say huddle up. And I really think that kind of encompasses exactly what they're trying to represent. So give them a look. They're actually really cool, and I'm pretty sure every school has one. So big shout out to them. The second thing we were supposed to do was our bowling for kids' sake. A couple of us from the swim team were gonna go, and that's run by Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Guelph. The mission of these guys is basically to help the youth that are found in Guelph that either face adversities their whole life or face societal challenges and barriers, and they do this through volunteering and peer mentoring. And so this bowling program was basically just one day where you get to go, you donate, each team donates. You pay for pizza, food, prizes, everything, the whole 9 yards, and it all just goes towards the children of Guelph. So I'm a big fan of this initiative. I'll put their link in the description as well. Shout out to them. Now, back to business. Before we get too into it, once again, I'm going to say this at the beginning of every video. I want to clarify that I'm not a professional, and despite the things that have helped me and the experiences I've faced, my solutions may not be for everybody. So I just want to make that clear, that these things worked for me, but they might not work for you. I decided to switch my environment because it's such a nice day out for the first time in a while. Figured I might as well not be locked inside my room for this. So like I said before, the discussion I wanted to get to today was anger and how, you know, I've experienced struggles with this in my life. When I was a kid, you know, my friends may not have known, but I struggled a lot with anger back home. When I was in, you know, grade 8, I remember going to therapy because I had just gotten to a point where anger just seemed to take over my entire personality, and it just got really ugly. I think the root of all of this was because, you know, I was suppressing feelings. I was suppressing feelings at a young age, and so just not being able to open up or being too scared to open up kind of made me feel trapped in a way, kind of made me feel like my back was against a wall. I remember there were a lot of times where I would lash out, you know, to my siblings or to some of my friends, and eventually I was just kind of viewed as a hothead. Like that was just the normal viewing of who I was as a person. That was just my personality. I was just a hothead, and that's not something I'm proud of at all, and that's not who I wanted to be by any means. A big situation that I faced often in high school and elementary school was that, you know, I lashed out at swim meets constantly, whether it be I added time or I didn't get a time I wanted, just because I had put this pressure on myself that, you know, I mentioned in the H panel with Brady Barrow. I had just put this unrealistic expectation on myself, and when I didn't meet that unrealistic expectation, I started to lash out, get hard on myself, get angry at everyone around me. It was like this feeling that would like overcome me and take control of who I am as a person. I felt like I wouldn't be able to stop it, and it just kind of felt like my world went black, and the only emotion I could express was anger. A lot of my friends wouldn't really recognize that because I was so embarrassed of who I was as a person that I tended to, you know, leave that out for my friends. I didn't want them to see the real side of me where I was just super angry all the time. Honestly, I was, you know, becoming scared of myself. After that one stint in grade 8, I never really went to seek help in high school because I felt like if I hid it long enough, it would just go away. I ruined a lot of relationships with some people who were close to me just because, you know, I couldn't control my anger at all. There's two situations that I really wanted to highlight here that kind of really show just how bad it got. So the first one was in high school. I remember I used to get so frustrated in practice that I would often, in practice, like it's not even a meet at this point, I would go into the locker room and I would just punch the lockers until my knuckles bled. In my mind, I knew that what I was doing was, first of all, so stupid, and second of all, was not gonna, you know, benefit me in any way, but something in me just felt the need to do it, and it felt like something was taking control of my body and doing it. And then the second time was at a swim meet in Montreal in my grade 12 year, I believe, where I lost it because I added this small increment of time in a race. It was so insignificant, but when I saw the time on the board, I like came out and, you know, tossed chairs, tossed a garbage can. I was cussing people out. I made a total fool of myself out in front of my family and friends, and it was just like one of the most embarrassing moments of my life. I think it was when my dad came to me afterwards and I just saw the look of disappointment. Like that kind of made me realize like I need to change. Like I need to do something about this. It's really tough to, you know, go back to those moments because you look back and you're like, man, I don't know what I was doing. Like it's just so embarrassing. You wish you could go back and like change it because you don't want people to view you like that. That's not who I am. So why did that happen? Like it's just, yeah. Now keep in mind, I'm talking a lot about high school, but this, believe me, this did not stop there. There were several instances in university where I lashed out over, you know, things that were bothering me, and it was just the absolute worst way to handle things. It just made everything so much worse. Even to this day, like this year with my back injury that I mentioned before, I remember we were at a practice, and it was after divisionals when I had watched everyone do really well, and I couldn't even do more than 2 lengths of the pool before my back seized up. And I remember just getting out and just losing my mind. As a captain of the team, you don't want your swimmers to see that side of you. As a friend, you don't want your friends to see that side of you. As a swimmer, you don't want your coach to see that side of you. So anger has led to multiple embarrassing moments in my life. I realized that why am I being angry right now? Like what do I have to change in order for me to not get this way? That's good stuff. So obviously it was so hard to get to a point where I didn't get unnecessarily frustrated. Obviously, you know, people get frustrated all the time. That's never going to go away. That's just a basic human feeling. But every time I would get frustrated, it just made the situation so much worse because I would just get way too angry. And I often heard people go, yo, relax, like it's not that big of a deal. Why are you like that? And it's true. Like there's a difference between, you know, saying it's not that big of a deal to something that's a big deal to someone, but in these instances, like they weren't big deals. It's just I would hear something and just my eyes would lose vision and I would just lose my mind. It's so hard to explain, and I don't know the answer, and I wish I could give, you know, my friends and people that have had to experience that with me, I wish I could give them an answer to why I would get so angry, but I just can't. So obviously, you know, like I said, I'm still not perfect, but my temper has definitely changed for the better. I still have my moments, obviously, but nowhere near what I used to be. I don't feel as out of control of myself when I get angry, and I feel like that, just having that feeling of control with oneself just makes you feel so much better about everything, really. So that's basically, you know, my story with anger problems. In a nutshell, I was viewed as a hothead pretty much all my life. I ruined a lot of good relationships because of it, and it just got to a point where I realized this is not who I am and this is something I need to change, absolutely. So now, again, shout out to the people who give me questions all the time. This makes my vlog that much easier. Like I said before, I love you guys, so thank you. We're gonna get right into them. I don't know if you guys saw Brady in the back, but he just made a little cameo. So the first comment slash question I got asked was, can you mention the damage that always trying to contain it can cause? For me personally, you know, trying to contain this uncontrollable anger that I used to have had a huge impact on my mental health, because it made me feel weak in a way, I guess. Feeling out of control with how your emotions act makes you feel super stressed and super helpless, because you're not really sure you know, what your next emotion's going to be or what you're going to do when you feel this way. And in your mind, you're like, I know this is wrong and I shouldn't do it, but something in you is causing you to lash out this way. And that's just so scary. So you become scared of yourself. No one should be afraid of who they are personally. Like that, it doesn't make sense. You should be able to recognize an emotion, address it, and then move forward. So trying to contain it just eradicates that completely, because you're not acknowledging the feeling you're having. And if you're just bottling it up, eventually, like a Coke bottle, it's just gonna pop out and just be unstoppable, really. So thank you for that mention. You know who you are. So the second question I got asked was, what are some healthy ways to let anger out? And this is actually another part of my vlog that I wanted to address, so thank you for that question. There are a lot of healthy ways to let your anger out that I've kind of personally found. A big one that I've found is, you know, physical exercise. When you're feeling that way, or you're just feeling stressed or out of control with your body, going out and working out is definitely a huge way to let out some steam. Another big one that I've learned from counseling and from the various, you know, peers that I've talked to is writing in a journal. And it may not seem like a lot, and it seems kind of tedious, but you don't have to do it every day. So what I did personally was, whenever I felt, you know, like I was about to explode, I would write down exactly why I was getting mad. I would write down what was bothering me that day, what was in my brain, and just writing out a page even of just all this stuff, looking at it and then crumpling it up and throwing it in the trash can. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it honestly made a huge difference for how I acted in situations. So that's another big one. Another thing I personally like to do, because like I said, I listen to music like every waking day of my life. So what I would do if I felt this way, I would put my headphones in, cut out the rest of the world. Obviously, you know, let them know, like, listen, I'm not in a good spot right now. I need my own time right now to figure things out. And then I would just listen to calming music. I'm a big fan of R&B, so anything slow R&B or country, even, like stuff like that, just calms me right down personally. So that's definitely ways that I've let my anger out. So thank you for that question. That was a really good question. Appreciate that. So my next question that I got was what to say and what not to say to someone who is irritable. This is actually a really good question, because personally I know there are things that were said to me when I was in a bad spot that I did not appreciate at all, and then other things that actually really helped me. So when we're looking at the what to not say aspect of this question, the first one, I feel like you guys can all guess it, is to say calm down. When I was in a bad spot and I would lash out and someone would tell me to calm down, that, like, when you say it, you think it's gonna help somebody, but hearing those words just makes me personally that much more angry. It would actually lead to me being more upset and just did not help the situation in any way. So that's definitely one thing not to say. Another thing that I wouldn't tell somebody who's irritable or in this situation would be, you know, why are you acting like this? When I used to get told, why are you acting like this, or calm down again, like, first off, it just made me more angry. And second of all, I don't know why I'm acting like this, you know? I'm not choosing to act like that. It happens. So when someone I care about or someone that's close to me says, why are you acting like this? It just makes everything so much more embarrassing for the person and doesn't really help at all. You already feel like your back's against a wall, and when people ask you that, you just feel like you're being pressed even closer to the wall. So it doesn't help anything. You can relate this to any kind of aspect of mental health, but another thing that you should not say is just get over it. When I used to get told to get over it or to stop getting angry, like, thanks, I wish I could stop getting angry and I wish I could get over it, but that's not what my body is choosing to do right now. Stuff like that, it's not progressive, and it doesn't help anybody in that situation. Now, when you're looking at the what to say, things that have definitely personally, made the situation better for myself. A big one for me would be when people would go, "How can I help?" Because you're not just flat out saying, "Stop, why are you doing that?" And you're actually offering some help to the person. For me personally, when I was, offered help, it felt like people somewhat understood the situation I was in. It made me feel like less of a crazy person. And when you're giving advice to someone who's irritable, or you're being there for someone who's irritable, making them feel, just as normal as everyone else is such a big thing. It makes you feel like, one, you have someone there that gets it, and two, you're not as pressed up against the wall as you think you are. It almost makes the situation less embarrassing when your friends are there to support you. Another huge one that I love hearing from my peers was when people would go, "Do you want to go talk?" or "Do you want to talk about it?" Because, they're not right away shutting you down or dismissing your feelings. They genuinely care, and they want to talk it out with you. And talking it out, like, for any situation, is just makes it so much better because it's not bottled up anymore. Whether they genuinely cared or didn't isn't the point. The point is that they were willing to take time out of their day to listen to what you had to say and listen to why you were being irritable. So those are definitely things that I love hearing, and I would have loved to hear every time I was in that mood. So thank you for that question. That's a very good question, and I really hope you guys listen to that. Whether you're on the irritable side or not, like, that things to say to someone in that situation are very important and should be learned. So the next questions I have were from the same person, and they're kind of joined together. First half of this question is, was it anger towards yourself or others, and did you have to search hard to find the cause? And then the second part was anger a secondary emotion to a primary emotion, or thoughts that you found difficult to accept? This question actually is really good. It can get super deep. So for the first half of that question, personally, I think it was both in a way. Originally, it would start out as anger towards others, or just being irritated about other people. And then I think as I acted out, it kind of got more so, kind of got more lean towards anger towards myself. At the beginning, you would get angry at someone, or you would get irritated about someone, and you would lash out, and then they would come back at you saying, like, "Why are you acting like this? You're such a hothead, you're such this," and you start to believe it. And then you start getting angry at yourself, thinking, "Why are you acting like this? Like, just stop. Like, please, just stop it. You're embarrassing yourself in front of everyone you care about." So I think originally it started as anger towards others, and anger about other external situations, more so things that I couldn't even control. And then it kind of progressed towards anger towards myself. I think searching for the cause is really tough, because there's so many factors, so many external, internal factors that can lead towards irritability, and trying to find one major cause is almost unrealistic. It's just a bunch of different factors that come together and make this lashing out occur. Even now, like, I couldn't really find a cause, but pinpointing little things that do bother you and writing them down, like I said before, or just identifying them. You don't have to write them down, but identifying them makes a huge difference to realize what is bothering you, as opposed to thinking, oh, it's just one big thing, because that way you can chip away at it. And then in regards to the second half of the question, for most people, it's genuinely a secondary emotion. I think at the height of my anger, it was a primary emotion, just because that's how I viewed myself. I viewed myself as a hothead, and that's how some people viewed me. There were definitely a lot of thoughts that I found difficult to accept. I'll get back to this later, obviously, because there's a lot of
topics that need to be addressed. A big example is like when, you know, my parents separated. I don't know why. I used to just get so angry because I couldn't accept the fact that maybe they weren't great for each other. When you find occurrences that are difficult to accept and then you refuse to accept them, like me, like personally, I'm stubborn, and anybody I know knows that. When you're stubborn and don't accept difficult situations, it can lead towards anger being a primary emotion. Being angry is so much easier than being calm and being accepting. So you just kind of resort to that because you're stubborn and you don't want to fix yourself. So thank you for that two-part question. That got really deep. That was awesome. Before I get to the last question, I just want to say, you guys asking these questions, like you guys rock. These questions are really good, and I can't believe that, you know, I'm fortunate enough to have, first of all, this platform, and second of all, have people listening that want to contribute like this. Like, this is really good. So thank you so much. My last question is, how do you not let it affect your daily life and your decisions? So this is actually a question that I myself asked, you know, myself personally, for a long time, because at the beginning and, you know, throughout most of my life, anger dictated everything I did. It dictated, you know, how I acted, how I lived, how I viewed things, and that's not how you want to go about life. Going about life angry, you know, it's easier than going about it, you know, calm and accepting and all of that, but it drains you way quicker. You just feel like you have no energy and you've no desire to, you know, do anything. So not letting it affect you is a huge deal. So ways that I did it, I think if you're going back to healthy ways to let my anger out, I would do all these little things and it would put me in a better mood and ultimately, you know, let it dictate my life less. When I went to therapy, like they had a good point, and they were like, how do you want to be viewed, and where are your values, and just how do you want to be seen when you're gone? When you put that thought in your head and you compare that to your angry side, you realize that that's not how you want to be viewed. And I think when you really, you know, put them both together and realize that, you know, I need to change in order for me to be viewed better, not just from peers, first of all, but from myself in general. When you're telling yourself I need to change for the better, obviously, then that totally takes away the anger's like major role in your life. Another big thing, and I guess you could wrap this in with healthy ways to let your anger out. I found that when I get angry, I hold my breath for some reason. My face gets really flushed. So when I start to feel, you know, the flushing in here and all here, and then the need to hold my breath, I kind of just take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. I do that like 5 or 6 times, and that really, you know, calms me down and makes it so that I'm not deciding like that how I'm gonna react to a situation. If there's like a negative situation that comes in, my first reaction is, oh, get angry, attack it. But when you're taking deep breaths and you have the thought in your head that you want to be viewed differently by yourself and your peers, that just changes everything. Thank you very much for that question. I hope I answered it well. It's really hard to really say how not to let it affect you because, you know, your brain is just, it's a complicated subject. I know nothing about the brain, so I hope I answered it well. And that's the vlog for this week, guys. I really appreciate the questions and all the reception I've been getting. You guys are seriously so awesome, and just spreading the word and spreading my message across, you know, all the social media platforms, like it's huge. And I love it all. So thank you so much for that. I've mentioned this before, but if you want to contribute in any way to the conversation, I will be posting weekly Ask Me Anythings on the Mental Corner Instagram. I'll put the link below, just so you can add to the conversation for the next vlog. And then if you need anything else, you know, my socials are all in my YouTube, and you can just comment below on the YouTube videos as well. Other than that, you guys know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share the word, spread the message. I've been getting amazing reception, and I really appreciate all of you. This is huge, and it makes me feel so good. So, I'll see you guys next time.
You gonna say bye to the people?